Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Well, this was the concept to make it so that this track would slide without binding. And it kind of works, because you can see I'm pushing on one edge, and this is not getting too far out of whack, but it's still having this thing rub against the track, and it's kind of getting caught. Now, some of that's because that track down there is a little bit too close together. It's not exactly centered underneath the beam. But I thought, really what I need to be able to do is put a load here on this beam and put some down pressure on it. And you can see that without that center support there, and that's only about maybe 30, 40 pounds, you can see that the track's bending. And if I'm going to put 440 pounds on this thing, I need to be able to attach it to this truss, which has got a good bit of strength to it. And when I put this track underneath it and make it so that they're a combined beam, it's going to really stiffen up this rafter. So I came up with an idea. I said, well, I want to be able to have this thing run down that rafter without dragging. I was at Menards, and they had a caster, this one. And this caster's got a load rating of 40 pounds. I don't think I'll put 40 pounds on it. If I do, I'm screwed. I can't do any more than that. But this 1-inch diameter caster will roll along this thing and won't be having the friction that's going to cause it to bind. Like when this thing runs up against the rail, it wants to bind. And I want it to roll like this. Wherever it is, whatever it's doing, I want it to roll just like this. And I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet, but I have visions of running a support beam over to the wall, that vertical over there and the vertical in the center, and having this be supported by cross beams going over there that's going to allow me to attach that to the cross beams. So I'll be able to anchor that in to the cross beam, maybe even extend it. I would really love to be able to take it over so I had to worry about running into the chimney. That's not going to be a movable item, and I'm not going to take it over to the wall and make it do a run up the wall real tight, because I want to keep that distance between the chimney and the wall so I don't bake the wall. By the time it gets up to the top and that is going through the wall, it's cooled off considerably. So, with all that in mind, I'm going to take this rail off. And spin it around like this. I suppose I should put this washer and this nut back on so I can slide it in there and it won't tip over. Now, Ideally, I would just bolt this down underneath this bottom one. And then this caster will go here and just catch the bottom edge of that. Because with it sitting like that, it's going to rub along that rail and hold things together. Lots of fiddly bits, trying to work one-handed. Yeah, that's not going to function exactly like that. I might be better off mounting it something like this. Let's see, do I have enough travel in that? Nope, it's up against the end of the hole. But anyways, whether I put the caster on the inside, which really looks like the best way to go, caster on the inside, caster wheel anchored to the end of the piece of angle iron. One on the other side, same thing. Now that would mean that I'm going to have to come up with a better way to mount this, but that's okay. And get a good long reinforcement for this so that it comes back and anchors into this. That will make a much sturdier beam, because this thing will be braced so that it can't go back and forth, one on either side. Approximately 19 inches. So, because I want to come back past 45. 45 would be a minimum. And that I think is going to work. So, I need to cut 4 pieces of angle iron 19 inches long, or flat strap. If I have flat strap, that's great. If I don't have flat strap, I might have to come up with some. But I think a piece of angle iron, I could extend the edge past this and bolt it together temporarily, set this thing out here, drill the holes, get it lined up, and put it where it's supposed to be, tighten the bolts up, take it off, take it down, weld this so that it's all securely anchored. And then this, I could put an extension loop on the front of that piece of angle iron. Now, obviously, I could get a different piece of angle iron, bigger. I have a piece leaning against the rack over there, actually. It's 2 inches by 1.5 inches, which is much bigger than this. And I originally had that thinking I was going to use that for the track supports and decided I didn't. So that might be a good thing to do for the cross piece here. That would anchor that solidly. But thinking of how I'm going to do this, I want to be able to, I originally had an idea where I would put some kind of a guide in the track that would, you know, it would be a roller in there so they couldn't. And I thought, oh, that's going to be a problem, because when it gets down there, that's going to stop it about 2 feet back from the wall. And I don't want to have it stop 2 feet back from the wall. I want it to be able to go centered, or at least over the front edge of the racks over there. And they're 24 inches wide. So I want to be about 1.5 feet from the wall. Using this method, I can keep my 1.5 feet distance from the wall, because this one will just go past the end of the track and it'll not support it out there. It's not going to line it up. But I perhaps can put another caster here. You know, there's all kinds of things. But that is the plan at this point, is to take this down and put a hole through the end of that piece of angle iron so that I can bolt a piece of angle iron to the back of it, or to the bottom of it, and then use that notch in the center to slide it up over this, clamp it down, and hold it. Now, is this piece of angle iron heavy enough to do what I'm doing? Yeah. I'm not talking about applying forces that are enough to bend this angle iron. That would be, the track would be severely out of position by the time I did that. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to have a situation where I have to worry about that. But two 19-inch pieces of angle iron for this end and two 19-inch pieces of angle iron for the other end, then bolt it down to the track at one of these holes, and I think I'm gold. Well, I've thought that before and been wrong, but you know, I'm getting closer. This part actually works. I mean, I probably could get by and just fiddle with it by going down there and lining the track up and getting it so that it sits square and straight and all the other stuff, and say, okay, that's good. But I'm thinking with just that little 4-inch gap on the rollers there, on the trolley, it's not enough. It's just not enough. I'd need to get something, a trolley about this long with a couple of guide rollers in the center of it. And if it comes to it, I will go there. I will build my own trolleys. I'll put bearings on the darn things and make them out of channel iron or angle iron or whatever I need to make them out of, so that they come out and form a 1-foot long trolley, which I think is the whole point and purpose of the thing. And the reason I'm having troubles is that's only a 3-inch wide trolley. No other way around it. It's only a 3-inch wide trolley. Now, that was my thinking and my fault, because I said, I don't want to spend the money. These are $29. They'll work great. Now, the other option is to get 2 more of those. Set one down here and one down there. But then again, I run into the problem of losing track length. So, not an option, not a way I want to go. And we're going to try and do a different way, going along the outside of the track so I can get past that constraint down there. Wish me luck. If you have any suggestions for new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union without the express written permission of the parents or the legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.